Hi, I'm Yolanda Bennett, more known as Mrs.Personal Motivator, and I'm here today at the Sierra House, a nonprofit organization providing housing for young mothers. Today we'll be honoring Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, and I will be instructing and facilitating a workshop on visions and dreams. Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Yolanda Bennett, and I've come here today to speak to you all, more importantly because I've been in your position at one point in my life, so I just felt like now that I'm where I am, and I'm not exactly where I want to be still, that I felt like I needed to start giving back and talking to young mothers and young girls and letting them know, that because of your situation, you don't have to deal with what you're going through alone, and you don't have to settle for whatever it is that you're going through, and there are avenues and different resources and things that you can do to bring yourself to where you need to be. So I'll start with just telling my story. I grew up in North New Jersey, and my grandmother raised me. I might get a little emotional while I tell my story. But at 7 months old, my mother was diagnosed with schizophrenia. So my grandmother raised me.
That's okay. It's all right. That's this type of house. It's okay. It's okay. Take your time.
And so growing up with a mom who was mentally ill was really hard. Because, children can be really mean. So growing up, I got teased, I got picked on because, not just because, but my grandmother raised me, but my mom was still in the house. So, in my neighborhood, I still had to see her. She was out in the streets and she was on drugs. So I would get picked on and teased all the time. But just in that experience in itself, it just motivated me to be a little more independent, or a lot more independent. So I did a lot of things for myself because my grandmother was older. So in elementary school, I just kept myself involved in a lot of activities. I was in everything, the art club, the computer club. I was a cheerleader, I played basketball. So I just kept myself busy to kind of really keep my focus off of what really was going on in my life. But every time I came home, I still had to deal with the situation. We grew up in subsidized housing, so it wasn't the best. My grandmother was on welfare, so we didn't have the best of everything. I didn't have name brand this and name brand that. So I also got teased about my clothing, and I got teased about my footwear and things of that sort. But moving on, going into high school, in elementary, I made sure I kept my grades up. I was always an honor roll student. I graduated salutatorian. But even with all the stuff that I was involved in high school, anytime I performed or did anything, there was no one in the audience for me. And my grandmother couldn't come because, again, she wasn't physically able to really travel like that. So that really hurt to know, I'm doing all of this stuff and I'm trying to do things because I want people to see what I'm doing and to support me. But there was never anyone there to see what I was doing. So that still made me stronger, and I kept pushing. So I graduated salutatorian, and I went on to Science High School. And I finished there, and then I got a full scholarship to NJIT. So when I went on to school, one thing my grandmother did tell me, go to school, don't get pregnant. Don't get pregnant. She always said that every time I came home to visit, don't get pregnant. I lived on campus. What did I do? My second year of school, I got pregnant. So here I am, 19 pushing 20, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. I kept my baby. And I started failing my classes, and eventually, I flunked out. So I lost my scholarship. So now I'm 20 years old, I'm like, what do I do? So now I'm like working minimum wage jobs. I ended up living in subsidized housing, and it was just really hard. It was a struggle. So eventually, I had friends that had been, working in clubs. And I was just like, okay, they're making all of this money. And I'm like, I really need money, and I want to go back to school. I want to go back to school so badly. So what did I do? I asked them, how do you do it? Where do you go? This and this and that. So what I ended up doing, working at a nightclub. I did it for 7 years. 7 years, day in and day out, working, getting in the house 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, but also going to school in the daytime. And not only was I going to school in the daytime, but I became a substitute teacher because I now had enough credits to substitute teach. So I was substitute teaching in the day, going to school in the evening, and working at night, and getting in the house at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning every single night. I was like a zombie, driving to work in the morning, falling asleep, and everything. But I just said to myself, like, I gotta keep pushing because now I have a child. I have somebody that I have to take care of, and she looks up to me. So I have to keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. So this for 7 years. I did this for 7 years. And finally, when I graduated, the day after I graduated, I stopped working in the nightclub. I had like a big retirement party and everything, but it just felt so good to be able to accomplish that. So long story short, it took me 10 years to get my bachelor's degree. Why? Because I was only able to go to school and take 1 class a semester because that's all I could afford. That's all I could afford, like living, you know, on my own with my daughter. She's now 16. She's a junior in high school. So I just had to, you know, push and do what I had to do. So I say this to say that, you know, despite whatever your situation is, you can accomplish your dreams. Whatever it is that you want to do, it doesn't matter. You can accomplish it, no matter how long it's going to take. In the time frame that I was doing all of this and I was so tired and I was pushing, I used to think like, oh my God, all my friends are like finished school right now. All of them have bachelor's degrees. I went to science. So of course everybody I went to school with, they already had like master's degrees. They were married. They had big houses and all this. And here I am working day in and day out, killing myself to make ends meet for me and my daughter. So, you know, it can be done. So basically what I am going to do here today is I'm going to help you guys put together a vision board to help you see what it is that you want to do with yourselves, and just don't look at it like, okay, I'm just going to put this down on paper and I'm not going to do it. No, you're going to set some goals today and you're going to work on them.
And as you were speaking, and as you started to cry, it was such a breakthrough in the atmosphere because those girls, they needed to hear that today. They needed to know what it is to see somebody successful like you come in here, be transparent, and be willing to not only share your story, but your emotions and tell them, look, keep pushing. You talking about TRA, these girls, that's what they get. And you saying to yourself, I didn't know what to do. But guess what? I made it through. I kept pushing. And so I want them to open up before we transition into this dance about stand. I want them to really say what they got. Every last one of them, they got something. Because I know I got something. And I want to say thank you to you two before we even go on behalf of my founder, Ms. Kelly Freeman, and the entire Sierra House team for coming in here and sharing your story.
I guess the most important part to me, because I experienced what you experienced before I had my son. And I know, I don't want to cry.
It's all right.
And I noticed that it's harder being an adult when you're an adult than when you're a child. Because it's easier to slip through cracks and you have to worry about rent and things like that. But being here made me stronger. It made me less ignorant to the fact that it's my fault too, and not just my mom's fault, my dad's fault, and my family's fault. So, I don't know, hearing your story made me know that I could do it, and it's not as hard as it seems. So that's pretty much what I got.
It's powerful. That's powerful. You know, I cry. I cry. You want to
all my life with me and my child, and it's so hard to do it by myself with no help. So I've been trying not to give up and keep pushing and keep holding on, and I'm really trying to stand and keep being there for my child and keep holding on, because he is my strength, he is my motivation. So this really helped me to not give up, keep having my hope. So I just thank you guys for coming and giving the word to me, because now I can keep on pushing for me and my job.
What we're going to do is we're going to go over to the other side and we're going to do a little project where you are going to create a vision board. And basically what a vision board is, you will put all the things that you want to do from this point forward. It could be a motivational saying. I have a bunch of quotes that you can put up there to basically keep you focused on what your dreams are.